Hi and welcome to this very special question and answer video on ta-da! One of my favourite plants, the hydrangea. Now I've searched Google once again to find out the most searched for questions about this fantastic plant here. And before I begin, it would be great if you could give this video a thumbs up, please, and share with your family and friends. And of course, subscribe to my channel for loads more great videos like this on how to bring some beauty into your lives and gardens. I'd also like to know any questions you may have about hydrangea, or even your favourite plant. So please add them to the comments section below and I'll do another video covering all those. Okay, let's answer some of your Google questions. Now the first big popular question is, where do they come from? Well, they are in fact native to Asia and America, and there are over 70 species. And the majority of these can be found in the Asia countries of Japan, China and Korea. Now hydrangeas have been cultivated in Japan, listen to this, for centuries, as early as 790 AD. Another popular question, are hydrangeas trees? Are they trees or are they shrubs? Well, if it was a tree, it would actually have to have a single woody stem which branches out and grow to form a crown. With shrub branches, they form from ground level and they form a crown without a stem. So really, they're a shrub rather than a tree. Another question, what are the different hydrangea varieties? Well, you have an absolute amazing choice. As I said, there are over 70 species of hydrangea and over 600 named cultivars. So many to go from. And there are different types, but generally speaking, the macrophylla or the mop-head ones look like mop-heads. They're big, generally, full blossoms of lots of these little florets, creating one giant flower effect. Hydrangea paniculata flowers are rugby ball cone-shaped, and they never have blue. It's usually only cream, white, green or pink flowers. Hydrangea arborescens are round pink or white flowers, and there will never be blue flowers for this particular type. Hydrangea petiolaris, which is the climbing hydrangea, I think it'd be pretty obvious to identify that one because it's got roots and it grows up the side of your house rather than as a bush. It's easily identifiable with its beautiful lace cap flowers, which are sort of like hover. They're about the size of an inverted breakfast plate. Hydrangea serrata is the mountain hydrangea, but as the name suggested, serrata serrated, the edges are slightly zigzagged around there. Hydrangea quercifolia, quercus means oak. You can spot that one quite easier because the leaf looks like an oak leaf. What are the different colours of hydrangea? Well, they come in a variety of shades, blues, whites, pinks, even green flowers, and some of them with slightly purple shade. There's lots of choice out there. How and when do you grow hydrangeas? Well, the best time to plant hydrangeas, you buy them in containers from garden centres. Best time to plant is in autumn time or in springtime. That way it's still a little warm, not searing hot from the sun that's drying them out, and not freezing cold from the winter. So autumn and spring are the better time to plant. They do prefer moist soil, but well drained, not sitting in water, but plenty of water about. And they like a little bit of dappled shade. Avoid direct sun positions. They don't like getting dried out, but they'll tolerate a bit of brightness with a little bit of shade. And they also prefer, well, it's not that they prefer, so they can tolerate most soil types, alkaline or acidic, although that has a tendency to change some of the varieties of hydrangeas, change the colour of the flower, and I'll cover that in a question a little bit later. But if you've got light sandy soils where the moisture just goes through, it's probably best to dig in some organic matter like farmyard manure or something similar to that to enhance the soil's ability to hold a bit of moisture for your little hydrangea. Never plant the hydrangea deeper than it is in the pot. So the surface of the pot soil that you see, that needs to be the same as the ground you plant it into. Planting it too deep can cause the plant some issues. And of course, as I mentioned earlier on, if you're planting in summertime, always make sure that you give it plenty of moisture. The bottom line is you just want the plant to send out roots and establish. Are there any varieties of hydrangea that can tolerate growing in full sun? That's another popular question. Panicle varieties of hydrangea do particularly well in direct sunlight, and you can Google that to find out which particular varieties are about, or talk to your local garden centre. Though predominantly hydrangeas do prefer partial shade or dappled shade, but Hydrangea paniculata, take a look at those. How big does hydrangeas get? Well, most hydrangea varieties grow between 3 and 8 feet tall and roughly 4 to 6 feet wide. They're pretty big plants and you get a lot of bang for your buck. You can get a climbing hydrangea as well, and that grows alongside the wall and it puts little roots into the wall to grow, very similar to how ivy grows, and that can get quite big with beautiful white lace cap flowers. How do hydrangeas grow in pots? You can grow them in pots. Of course, dwarf or smaller varieties are better suited for containers than the bigger ones because they're eventually going to grow out of those containers themselves. Now, they can be placed on a patio area that you've got, whether that's paving or decking. But again, remember it's partial shade, not necessarily full sun, and make sure they're well watered because in containers you are a custodian of the plant's root and soil, so make sure it's enough moisture to keep it growing. Once fully grown, they will be needed to plant up into a larger container, or if they've got too big for that container, you can plant it straight into the ground. How do I take cuttings from hydrangeas? Well, when you're taking a cutting, it's best to choose a non-flowering shoot, about 10 to 15 centimetres long, and trim below a node, which is the swelling on the stem itself, and effectively remove the lower leaves as you go. Cut the leaves in half that are remaining on the stem. That helps reduce water loss effectively. And insert the cutting into small pots filled with gritty, peat-free compost and firm well in and soak immediately after so it settles the soil around the stem of the plant itself. And then just wait and you should be getting some good results in it rooting and growing. How long do hydrangea cuttings take to root in water? Well, due to the fact that it's quite a woody plant itself, it's not always easy to propagate hydrangeas by just putting them into a vase. I always say have a go in anything that you fancy like that. I've managed to root some more woodier forsythia in water itself, but generally it's better to do it as a cutting in soil. When can you grow hydrangeas from cuttings? Well, the best time to take these cuttings is late summer. The cuttings will be effectively semi-ripe, really, so there's a little bit of growth on the new, a little bit of maturity on the new growth. They're from the current season's growth, but old enough to have a woody base, which prevents it really from rotting. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. I have free monthly newsletter that you can subscribe to. Just see the link in the description below. It's packed with loads of seasonal information and it's available free, so please subscribe. Right, let's answer some more of Google's favourite hydrangea questions, or certainly the most popular. Can you grow hydrangeas from seed? And if that's the case, how do you do it? Well, you can. That's a good bit of news. Wait until spring and then start sowing them round about then. Early in the season is better. Surface sow the seeds into a flat seed tray that's got peat-free compost in it. Keep the soil moist and protect the seeds from any cold wind. Now, I normally put mine in the greenhouse, but you can put them in warmer situations on a windowsill, inside the home, or something similar to that. And if it's warm enough and there's plenty of moisture, they should germinate quite soon, actually, within about 14 days. What soil do hydrangeas like? Well, as I mentioned, moist but well-drained soil. They thrive in most soil conditions, but adding organic matter like farmyard manure or leaf mould or compost you produce yourself always helps the plant because it supports the microorganisms in the soil as well as producing food for the plant. Why do hydrangeas change colour? Well, it's the flower that can change colour. Certain varieties of hydrangea change really dependent on the pH level in the soil itself, and as you know that some soils are acidic, which grow rhododendrons and cabelias and heathers and the like, and other soils are quite limey, and it's dependent on the liminess for the alkalinity and the acidity that changes the colour itself. Now, understanding the type of soil you've got is one of the key things, and you can go to a garden centre to get that tested. Predominantly Hydrangea serrata and Hydrangea macrophylla, they're the two varieties that can change colour. Now, the flowers go blue in acidic soils and pink in alkali soils, and you can in fact buy little packets of Hydrangea flower colourant that changes the acidity and changes the flower colour from your local garden centre. Why do hydrangea leaves turn yellow? Well, sometimes it's due to the autumn, so don't worry too much about that. But if they're turning yellow during the spring and summer period, it could be because of a lack of iron. It's called chlorosis, which means the plant can't properly produce chlorophyll, which is the green in the leaf, which is an important part of photosynthesis. And you can help the plant by adding some ericaceous plant food in, sequestration of iron or something similar to that, which helps to give the plant an extra kick of energy. Epsom salts is another one to help support anything leaves that are discoloured, so Epsom salts or sequestration of iron helps give them a go. Another cause, of course, could be overwatering or waterlogging that's causing stress in the leaf, so check that at the same time. Why do hydrangea leaves turn crispy brown? Well, that is most likely to be underwatering. It's just them drying out and the leaves crisping up. So I'd just be checking that the plant hasn't got too much burning sunlight and not enough moisture. So just keep an eye on it. It's basically your leaves are getting scorched. Why do some hydrangeas not flower? Well, it could be many things. Obviously, it depends on the maturity of the plant, whether it's getting too much or not enough sunlight. Sunlight can affect a plant's ability in producing flower. Could be improper pruning as well. Different hydrangeas flower on different parts of the wood, so it's always best to check which hydrangea you've got and then take a look at what the best advice is for pruning. It might also be the wrong fertiliser. Sometimes if hydrangeas get a lot of nitrogen, they're producing a lot of excessive leaf growth rather than flowers themselves. Or not enough water. The plant doesn't got enough energy to produce the flowers. Or sometimes they can get damaged due to not just the excess of the heat, but it's also because getting very cold as well. But generally speaking, hydrangeas are very good performers. It's one of the plants you can put into the garden, and once it's established yourself, you'll be getting beautiful blooms every year. Do hydrangeas like lime? If you'd rather have your hydrangea flowers pink, then you can apply lime to the ground to colour these up. And they're the varieties I mentioned earlier on that are particularly good for changing colours. Hydrangeas don't require lime for nutrition. It's mainly just used for colour alteration. Do hydrangeas need ericaceous soil? Well, on light sandy soils, it's always good to feed hydrangeas with ericaceous fertiliser. They don't specifically require ericaceous soil, but it helps to keep the flowers blue. That's the thing. Its acidity is the blue flowers, alkalinity is the pink flowers. Do hydrangeas flower every year? Great result. Of course they do. They flower once a year, and hydrangeas reblooming does not occur on standard varieties, so it's one lot of flowers and they do last really well. But of course the addition you get with the hydrangeas as they dry, they almost become brownish, bronzish flower balls on the plant. Even when the leaves are gone during the winter, you've still got this mass of bronze florets that look pretty nice. So I have a tendency to leave mine on, not only to offer a bit of protection for the plant during the winter, but also because I like the effect. What type of plants go well with hydrangeas? Well, hostas are pretty good. They like the similar type of conditions. Of course, they've got beautiful leaves there. They like a little bit of moisture, and they also like a little bit of dappled shade as well. And of course, there are many varieties of ornamental grasses which can offer a great contrast with textures. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video very insightful and maybe answered some of your questions, or at least motivated you to this wonderful addition to any garden, the hydrangea. It's pride of place in my garden. I've got several of them around the front, different varieties. You know, they've got beautiful pastel blooms to enjoy all summer, and a structured shape. Certainly these ones here that hold these dry flowers during the winter. You get a lot of bang for your buck with hydrangeas. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. We've got loads of stuff coming on, so please switch on your notifications to be notified of the latest videos.